Hi, this is JT Realmuto. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. The Phillies Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Hope everybody is doing well. Only a few more days until the Super Bowl. Eagles Chiefs. I know everybody, of course, is super excited about that. We're excited about it at the Phillies Show, but we're also excited about today's guest, Phillies catcher JT Realmuto. He spent some time with us the other day. JT, of course, All-Star, Silver Slugger, Gold Glover. He's entering the 5th and final year of his contract with the Phillies, so it's an important year for him. It's a big year for the Phillies, who are trying to finish the job and win a World Series. We talked to JT about all sorts of different things. We always enjoy talking to JT, Jim, Ruben, and I, because he's just super insightful about the game. You have to be cerebral about the game as a catcher, and he certainly is that, but he also can just put games into perspective, seasons into perspective. He's always just a great guy to talk baseball with, and we think you will agree. Here he is, JT Realmuto. JT, thank you for joining us. Spring training is right around the corner. You live down in Clearwater, so I'm wondering, is it the gear up feel any different, like when you're down at the complex all the time, as opposed to like somebody living in Oregon or California or Colorado or anything like that? Are you still feeling the same itch?
Yeah, I'd honestly say I might feel it a little bit more, to be honest. I just started coming down here. Maybe we bought a place, I think, 5 years ago and started spending our Januaries here. We spend earlier in the offseason in Oklahoma, and then we come here in January. And I think just kind of being in the training facility here in Clearwater almost gives me more of an itch a little earlier than I used to get it back when I was staying in Oklahoma the whole offseason. So I definitely think it's a little different feel being here, though, in January for sure.
Obviously Phillies fans are excited about pitchers and catchers next week, but before that is the Super Bowl on Sunday with the Eagles. Who do you got?
I mean, it's the Eagles. I feel like the whole nation better be rooting for the Eagles at this point. Nobody, as good as the Chiefs are, and I respect them, nobody wants to see those guys win again.
No doubt about it.
JT, as a former quarterback, do you like watching Hurts and Mahomes? They're two really special talents.
They're extremely special. Obviously, what Mahomes has done in his career is incredible. He's going to go down as one of, if not the greatest of all time. So he speaks for himself. But Jalen, I know Jalen gets some up and down opinions from Phillies fans, but for me, I love the way he plays the game. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes. He manages the game. He has an incredible offensive line, incredible running back. So receivers as well. He's just a facilitator, and he does a good job not making mistakes and winning football games, which is the most important part of a quarterback's job.
Well, so what type of quarterback were you? Would you compare yourself to Mahomes? Would you compare yourself to Hurts? How did you manage the game?
I couldn't compare myself to either one of them guys, first of all. But the way I played was probably closer to Hurts, I would say. I was kind of right in between. Like, I ran a lot. I could throw pretty good for a high school quarterback, but I carried the ball a lot for a quarterback because I almost turned into a running back for half the game just because it helped our team. We had more blockers when I had the ball in my hand, so I would carry the ball. Like, there's one playoff game I had 40 carries, but most of the time it was like 20 carries or so, and then throw the ball maybe 15 or 20 times. So I kind of did both. I wasn't really
So staying on that theme, as far as your athleticism, everybody knows how great of an athlete you are, and we've all observed that. You're into a whole ton of different sports. I know that you are viewed on the team as one of the best golfer. Are you the best golfer on the team?
Right now, because Whit Merrifield left, yes. Last year, Whit had me. Whit was better.
Really?
Oh yeah, Whit's like, I think he's in the pluses now. He's really good.
Wow.
For as far as players go, I'm the best. Cotham's pretty good. Caleb's pretty salty golfer. So if you throw the coaches in there, I think it's me and Caleb pretty close.
Well, you got close to the pin for your fantasy football league.
Yeah, it didn't do me very good because then I drafted Christian McCaffrey. I wish I would have shanked it off the wall like Stott did, and I got a better pick.
You could have gotten Saquon if you got like the 10th pick, or I don't know, a little bit lower. Oh, that's a bummer. So you didn't win you didn't take advantage of the first pick, and you didn't win the title.
No, I actually did have a pretty good season. I think I took third, so I got some money. In the championship week, I scored like 207. So if I would have got to the championship, I would have won. But I ended up taking third.
That's always a
It
killer.
was a good year though for not having the first overall pick. I mean, I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, no doubt.
How many guys on the team participate in that? It seems like a great way to build camaraderie and keep the chemistry going after the season ends.
Quite a few. I feel like there's one team that's coaches. Usually 5 or 6 coaches throw in to do a team, and then the rest of it's all players. Most teams have 2 guys. There's probably 5 guys with their own team, and then everybody else kind of splits a team. So there's a good 15 guys involved in it, and even the guys that aren't actually in the league, they're usually a part of the banter and the back and forth that goes on in the clubhouse. It definitely brings the guys together. We always get excited for football season.
Yeah, I know, JT, you're not one of those guys who likes to talk about yourself a lot. And I know just from observing from like sort of the outside in, I know that you're one of the team leaders on the club. How would you describe that, and how important is that element of what you bring to the table? How important is that to you?
It's definitely important to me. I think this is a pretty easy team to be a leader on, though, because I feel like we do have a lot of leaders in our clubhouse and a lot of veteran presence. And even our young guys now, they're not really young anymore, so they've been around a long time. So everybody kind of – there's definitely leadership going on, but you don't ever have to, like, yell at anybody or, like, really get on to guys, because most guys play the game the right way. Everybody respects each other. We respect the way the game's supposed to be played. So but I do take pride in trying to – I'm not the most vocal guy in the clubhouse, but I try to do things the right way. I try to let my work do the talking for me and the way I prepare and the way I play the game. So but with that, I think most of the guys on our team are in the same boat. Everybody does things and goes about it the right way.
JT, I was looking this up the other day. If you start on opening day as expected, of course, it would be your 7th consecutive opening day start. Part of me is like, wow, that feels like you haven't been there that long, but that's second longest streak in Phillies history. I think Mike Lieberthal had 10. You'd be tied with Darren Daulton for 7. Has it felt like you've been here for 7 years? And how much is obviously you're a free agent after this season. How much is that on your mind about, maybe staying in Philly beyond that?
Yeah, it's definitely does not feel like it's already been 7 years. I was having that conversation with my wife actually just a few weeks ago about, like, we can't believe how long we've been in Philly. It feels like for the Marlins over here, and it's obviously been a fun and exciting 7 years, and it's gone by really fast. As far as your second question, yeah, I think we've obviously thought about it some this offseason, what the future holds, but we really want to just focus on this year, and we've fallen short of what we want to accomplish the last few years, so that's definitely the forefront of my mind right now.
JT, I think about that Mets series. I mean, Schwarber leads it off with a bomb. Place is electric. Wheels is electric. Pitches a great game, and you don't finish it off. It seemed to be such a tone setter, and then you don't win that series, and it's an early exit. Is that still sticking with you? How long does that stick with you through the offseason? The quick end to really what was a remarkable season.
Yeah, that one stung for a long time. I don't know, that one. I mean, it hurt when we lost the World Series, obviously, but that one almost felt a little worse. Like, that one stung to me bad. Just the way it happened, like you mentioned, felt like with the way Wheeler threw the ball to game 1, we had a lead. We had opportunities to tack on runs in that game, and if maybe we cash in a couple of those runs, take a little pressure off our bullpen, and win that first game, the series probably goes completely differently. So, but there was just little moments throughout the entire series where we just weren't able to come through and capitalize. We had the lead late in 2 of the 3 games we lost, and but with that, we just weren't able to score enough runs. So there's so many things that we could have done better to win that series that we weren't able to make happen. And you got to give credit to the Mets. We ran into a team that was hot, and they were playing better baseball than we were. So it definitely stung a lot this offseason. It's something that probably won't start stinging until we step back on the baseball field and start winning games again.
Mm-hmm. As you reflect on that, and I know you want to try to move forward, as you reflect on that, some things that you learned about that, do you have more of a chip on your shoulder as a team, you think, for the year coming up? I know that you have a great ball club. How do you feel about, stepping into the 2025 season?
I feel good about, I feel great about our club, always have. We like to compete. We like to have fun together. So, obviously the year hasn't ended how we wanted to yet, and we want to be at the end and win the World Series and hold that trophy up. But I still believe in the guys we have in this clubhouse, and I know that we have every bit of the talent to get it done. We just have to come through in the moments we need to come through and get hot at the right time, which last year we just weren't able to do that. But I would put our roster up with anybody. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, they obviously have a great team. The Mets are going to be really good. The Braves, again, it's going to be a really tough National League to get through. So, but I love our clubhouse, and I love the guys I play with, so I got faith in them.
JT, after you guys you lose game one against the Mets, but you come back for a big win in game two, and I remember talking to you after that game, and you were like, we can breathe now. We can kind of exhale and breathe now. You're just talking about how you were basically implying that, the weight of expectations made everybody tight and all. What is that like when you have such a star-studded roster, high payroll, big expectations? Can it really weigh on a team and affect performance? How is it? Is it difficult to balance it all and compartmentalize that, put it aside so you can just focus on bringing out your natural ability?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you have to do. And you have to be able to put that stuff aside, because there's definitely – it's a different feeling going into a series or going into a game when you're the heavy favorite, as opposed to, when you're the underdog kind of playing with house money, essentially. It is a different feeling, but we have to learn as a group to be able to put that to the side and go out and not play more tight just because we know we're the better team, and not try to do more because we think, we got to hit the big home run in certain situations. We got to be able to just take a breath and relax and just play the game of baseball like we do in game 120 during the season, instead of thinking about how big the moment is and trying to come through our team and knowing that we're the better team and just trying to do a little too much. And I think that's something that, the last 2 years we just haven't been able to do, because both series we lost, we felt like we were the better team. And, but that's something that we'll learn to get through.
We just had Rob Thompson on and Caleb Cotham on the past couple weeks or past few weeks. And one of the big reasons they're excited about your team's chances is getting Jesus Luzardo into the rotation. And wondering what your thoughts on him. I don't know if he's been in camp yet and you've caught him at all. I know Jordan Romano has been in camp, and I think you've caught him before. I mean, I know he was excited to get in the media. Can you speak to both of those big pitching additions?
Yeah, they're great. Luzardo, I mean, adding him, I think that helps the Phillies offense a lot. I think he shut us down pretty well for the last now. So just getting him on our club, I mean, he's electric. I can't wait to get to work. I haven't got the opportunity to meet him yet. He hasn't been here in Clearwater. I think he's over in Jupiter or the West Palm Beach area.
Yeah.
I think that's where he lives in the off season. But I've heard great things about him as a teammate. I've talked to quite a few of the guys over in Miami, and nothing but awesome things. They love the way he competes. He prepares. He's obviously got electric stuff. So I'm really excited about that one. And then Jordan, I got to catch his pen. Shoot, it was pretty quickly after he signed with us. He looks great. He's healthy, throwing the ball well. Was throwing maybe a little too hard in his first bullpen. It was coming out pretty good. So
he seems like a good dude. I mean, he seems like he'll fit right in with you guys.
Yeah, it was funny. When we signed him, I immediately got a text from Whit Merrifield, and he's like, "You guys are going to love this guy. Like he's going to fit perfectly in your clubhouse." So what I've seen so far, he's just an unbelievably nice guy. Like he's gonna fit right in with our group. Plus, he likes to golf, so he's a Philly.
There you go.
Hey, just hitting on that theme, Caleb Cotham talked about glowingly about what you bring to the table, how much you make this team better by the way you run the game. Talk about your progression. I remember you and scouting you when you were playing with the Marlins a little bit earlier in your career, and how that whole progression of running a game has changed for you, if it has, how important it's become for you, and what it means to you as you manage the pitching staff.
Yeah, for sure. It's the way I call a game has certainly changed, and the way I prepare just throughout my career. I think as a younger guy, it's really tough to call a major league game because you have all this information and you don't really have the confidence to know when to use the information and when not to. And I think that's something that just takes time, and game calling is like, it's sometimes you got to use the scouting report, and sometimes you just got to throw the scouting report out the window. And I think that as a young guy, that's not that easy to do because you're kind of worried about answering questions and coaches asking questions. And I think what works so well for us is that Caleb and I have a really good relationship, and we do all the work separately. We both scout, we both watch our video, we look at the numbers, and then we come together before a series and we talk about every hitter, every matchup with our pitchers. And but then after all that information is done and we make sure that we're on the same page, we go off script all the time in the game because you have to if you don't want to be too predictable. And that's something that we're constantly having conversations with, me and Caleb, just talking to a game plan every inning. We're talking to the next 3 or 4 hitters, trying to get together and get on the same page. And then sometimes if I make a bad pitch call, I'll go straight to him and be like, I didn't like that. Like, what'd you think here? And like, we'll talk through the process. And for me, that's a good way to learn and to not make the same mistake again. Because game calling is never going to be a perfect art form. You're always going to do things wrong. But I feel like the more conversation we have and the more we talk about it, we kind of learn from those things. And we'll just sit and dive into why I was thinking this, why we went here. And the same thing with the pitchers. Like if they're shaking, we want to be able to have those conversations of what are you thinking and why, and then we can not make mistakes in the future that way.
I think Caleb said the word he would deputize you as pitching coach if he could. You're so instrumental in the success of the pitching staff. Is there a particular moment in a game where that you talk about that freelancing, I guess, late in the game going off script that you really in your head you go, that was pretty fun. Like you noticed that maybe a batter positioning himself in the box and you called a certain pitch for that reason. Is there a pitch or a moment or a game maybe that you go, that was fun. That's off the script and that worked or not?
To be honest, not necessarily one moment because it kind of happens a lot. Like it's really fun. Like that's one thing I think a lot of people miss out in the game of baseball is the game of cat and mouse with the hitter and being able to set guys up for whatever it is, their third at bat in a game or even sometimes the third game in a series. Like you come into a big moment and you've set this guy up for 5 or 6, 7 at bats in a row. And then you hit him with something he hasn't seen yet that's not anywhere, like not even on your pitcher scouting report. So like that type of stuff is fun. I can actually remember one. I don't remember who the hitter was, but Kirk was pitching. And, he's nasty sweeper, good 4-seam, and he has just started throwing a 2-seam a little bit. But to righties, he'd only throw in 2 seams like middle in. It was kind of an early count ground ball pitch. And he's thrown a couple 4-seams in the at-bat. He threw a sweeper, got a swing and miss. Another sweeper, like nasty 2-strike sweeper, and the guy took it. And then back in my head, if he's taking that sweeper, he's got to be looking for the ball close to him. There's no way you can take that nasty pitch without looking for something starting at you. So I called to Kirk a backdoor 2-seam, which he's never thrown before, not one time. And he kind of looked at me when I called it, like he wasn't sure what to do, and he just stepped on the mound, and he absolutely threw a perfect backdoor 2-seam. The guy never even flinched to swing at it, strike 3. And so, like, I'm running off the field, and me and Kirk were laughing about it together in the dugout. So stuff like that that's what I love about catching, But also having a pitcher on the mound that can actually execute that, not a lot of guys can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking about Kirk Ring, do you think he's a guy that can close? I mean, do you feel like he's got the mentality? You've been in the game a long time, pitchers. Do you think that he's a guy that at some point in his career he can be a solid closer? Because that's a big question about whether he can develop into that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll be a closer in this game for sure. He just has that mentality that nothing. I mean, I don't even know how old he is. He's probably 23, maybe. Like he's so young, 22. Like the way that he stepped in last year, his first year pitching in the playoffs, nothing bothering him. Like he has that it factor where when he steps on the mound, it seems like there's no crowd, there's nothing going on. It's just him and the hitter. He's trying to execute, and no moment really seems too big for him. So I definitely think he has that mentality.
JT, Zack Wheeler, he's great. He's really one of the greatest signings in the history of the Phillies. And you had a role in it because he said one of the reasons he wanted to come to Philly is he wanted to throw to you. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with him now over the last handful of years here and how you've seen him grow as a pitcher and just what do you love about catching him?
Everything. I love everything. The guy he's such a competitor, and you guys have seen it. He made a big jump just his first year when he came here, but it seems like every year he's still finding a way to get better. He's like either adding a new pitch or changing a shape on a certain pitch. He uses his pitches differently. He's so adaptable, and for somebody that's this late in his career to still be making adjustments to get better with as good as he's already been, that speaks to the competitor he is. And I think you can see the fire in his eyes when you guys watch him pitch. Like it's no secret. The guy loves to pitch and he loves to dominate, and that's what he's done for us for 5 years now. In my opinion, it's not even a question that he's the best starter in the game. I hate that he's gotten so close to 2 Cy Youngs and not, hasn't gotten one yet, but he's the best starting pitcher in the game, in my opinion.
What's your pregame like with him? Do you talk a lot to him, or is he just entrusting everything in you and he just follows your fingers?
Well, I said this one time in an interview and he got mad at me for saying it, but I'm going to say it again. Sometimes it looks like he's about to fall asleep before the game. During our he's like laying on he's getting worked on with the trainer. Paul's doing his like pregame stretch, and he's just laying there listening to Caleb and I basically go through the game plan. And sometimes Caleb and I look at each other and like, is he sleeping right now? Or is he I just think he's so, he's calm before a game, which not a lot of guys are that calm. He's just relaxing, listening. He'll every now and then, it'll be funny. We'll be going through a lineup and he'll ask like, is he right-handed or left-handed? And I'm like, I do not know this, but that's just, he doesn't have to think too much out there. He's so talented, and he knows that like we're going to put the work in, and he trusts our work. And but then he's also smart enough, like he knows a game plan, he knows how to pitch, like he knows how to make adjustments throughout a game. So he just trusts his stuff, and he trusts the work that Caleb and I do, and we work well together.
But then conversely, it's funny, when Caleb was on, he said we were asking him about Zack, and he mentioned some mound visit or almost mound visit in Cincinnati. Guys, you remember that one? He almost like stared dagger, was killed me with a look. And I'm wondering, you mentioned earlier, like the game within the game that the fans don't get to see. What's a conversation with like him on the mound with Zack maybe compared to other guys, or Nola, Suarez?
Yeah. Zack does not want anybody on the mound ever. I do everything to not have to go talk to him. Because he's like I said, he's a competitor. So usually, if you're going for a mound visit, something hasn't gone right. So he is pissed when I go out there, or Caleb. It's funny. Caleb will go out there and he'll say like, put his bellows wrestling. He goes, "What do you got, Zack?" And he'll just say, "I don't know," and like stare right through his soul. And then Caleb just turns around and goes back to the. It's pretty funny. Awesome. Every now and then we'll be able to like give him something that's actually useful information, but most of the time with Wheels, like if we're going out there, it's just to slow the game down a little bit and give him a breather. It's not right. He knows how to make adjustments. He knows what he's doing out there, so it's not like we're ever trying to give him too much information.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He does not like visits, that's for sure. So if you guys watch his antics from now on when we go out there, it's pretty funny. Like you'll know that he's not giving us anything. I'll even ask him like, "Hey, what pitch do you want to start this next guy off with?" And I almost never get an answer. He'll say, he'll just say like, "I don't care," or whatever you want. That's just Wheels. He's not happy about mound visits.
He trusts you, man. He trusts you.
It's a good thing.
What about when you think about how would you describe Aaron Nola to fans? And how would you describe Ranger Suárez, two of these starters that have been done very well for you? How do they compare to Zack? How would you describe their mentality, their whatever pitchability, working with them?
Knowles is a little more cerebral about his like pregame approach. He loves to watch video. He'll look at the numbers. I think our meeting with him before the game takes quite a while. He's probably our longest meeting because he talks a lot. Like because he's already watched quite a bit of video, and he knows how he wants to attack these guys really before we go to a meeting, which is good that we're kind of it's the three of us having a conversation, getting on the same page. So his meetings are definitely the longest, and he talks the most out of any of the starting pitchers for sure. He's not just listening. And same thing with like going through a game. He doesn't shake much, but like we'll have conversations about how we want to attack the next guy, like next time through, and kind of get on the same page. So he likes to think about that a little more probably than Zack does. And Ranger's a little more similar to Zack. Like he doesn't say a lot. He doesn't think a lot. He doesn't rarely shakes. Like he's up there trying to execute. He's kind of the same as Zack too, as like he's very relaxed in the meeting, like kind of like he is on the mound. You guys see it. He's very calm at all times. So doesn't say a whole lot, just listens, and then goes out and dominates. So he's a lot of fun to work with too.
JT, you've been all over the place in the lineup. You've hit in the 2-hole, you hit in the 4-hole, you've hit in the 7-hole. Is there any place that you feel uncomfortable, and where is the place that you feel most comfortable in the lineup?
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel uncomfortable anywhere. I used to say, I don't know, I like hitting earlier just because I can get my catcher's gear off, when the first inning's over, I can just take everything off and be ready to hit. And sometimes if I'm hitting 5th or 6th, I keep everything on and then got to make a late change to put my helmet on and take my gear off. So that's literally the only reason. Other than that, it doesn't really matter to me where I hit. I mean, once I step in the box, the position doesn't really matter to me.
JT, Andrew Painter, there's so much buzz about him. Can you give us a little scouting report on him? What you know of him, and does that buzz make its way into the clubhouse? Are you guys excited about getting this kid on board in the near future as well?
Yeah, his buzz has definitely made its way around the whole organization. I think, he's kind of got the whole makeup you're looking for in a starting pitcher. He's got the mentality, he's got the stuff. He's a big kid. Obviously, he's got good command, fastball plays, good slider. I think he added a breaking ball this offseason, or a shape.
Like a slider or something, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's just going to, in my opinion, he's just going to keep getting better, and he's kind of like Wheeler, where he's going to keep finding ways to improve. But I think just with him, the thing that sticks out with me is how mature he is in his makeup. I've watched him pitch a few times, and just watching him go about his work, even watching him in rehab last year when he was coming back from Tommy John, he just works hard, and he's very humble and quiet and goes about his work and doesn't put off that hey, I'm the top prospect here. He doesn't have that attitude. He just kind of blends in with the guys, works hard, and wants to be really good. And I think he's kind of got the whole package when you're looking for a starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Rob, back at the winter meetings, Rob had said he made a point to say, "Oh man, JT, he's in great shape already. He's feeling great, this and that." And I'm wondering, is that because you had the knee surgery last year and you were kind of banged up all year? Can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, did it bother you more than you? Obviously, you don't want to come out and say, "I'm banged up, guys," or whatever. Maybe you weren't. I don't know. But it was just funny because he made a point to go, "Man, JT, he's in good shape. We're hearing good things about JT down there in Clearwater." I'm wondering, how you felt last year, how you feel now, kind of coming into this big year for you.
Yeah, I feel great. I was talking to Morgan this morning. We ran sprints this morning at the stadium, and today was not today, but within the last month, it's been the first time I feel like I can really let loose sprinting and not feel anything. So even after the surgery last year, it was just kind of lingering effects. I think it was just maybe scar tissue or something from the surgery just kind of stuck around. And it wasn't necessarily it wasn't super painful, or it obviously didn't keep me from playing a ton, but it was just something that I would feel daily, and soreness, and still feel some extra fluid in my knee, stuff like that. But that's all, really probably about a month ago, finally, it felt like I just have had nothing done to my knee, and it feels 100% again. So, I got to give Morgan and Fury a lot of credit, because those guys, we've been working hard here in Clearwater trying to recover and get healthy and be in as good a shape as we can going into this season. And they've done a great job for me.
And then Rob also said, "Yeah, I want to talk to JT at some point about playing time and maybe the workload and whatnot." And we asked him.
He didn't really want to talk about
we asked him. We asked him last week if he talked to JT. He goes, "I'm scared to have that conversation with JT." So, because you want to play, you probably would love to catch 140, right? I mean, so where do you come down on that? I mean, you want to catch as much as you can because you think you can handle it, but they want to cut you back maybe a little bit. He said also, nothing that you can still DH, but where do you kind of come down on all that stuff?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think there's a perfect answer, because I truly don't know what the best thing to do is. I think you go off of how I feel, and I like this narrative, how narratives always get started, but I've been healthy pretty much my whole career. Last year was the first year I haven't caught 130 games. And it's not like I got hurt because I was being overcaught. I got hurt in May in a rainy game I hit a triple and was legging a triple out and tweaked my leg around second base. So if I was like grinding through a season and it was August and wear and tear, and then I was getting hurt, like I would get to, hey, let's play less. But for me, I mean, my body feels as good right now as it ever has. Like it's not, I don't feel like I'm I'm getting old. But with that, I understand the want to keep me healthy and keep me productive as long as possible. So I'm sure Tom's and I'll have those conversations on a daily.
Hey, I'm kind of curious, as far as staying in shape, different guys use different methods. Are you like a Pilates guy, a yoga guy, or are you just your basic workout guy? How do you go about your business in the off season?
It's kind of evolved over time. I used to be get in the weight room and lift heavy things as much as I could and try to get as physically strong as I could and bulk up, like pushing a bunch of heavy weight. The last couple years and this year specifically, I've done more like movement stuff and obviously still lifting weights and training, but like trying to get in the best shape I can and more cardio and like doing more active things in between lifts to where I'm breathing heavy the whole workout, not necessarily just lifting, sitting. It's like kind of more movement based the entire workout. And it's almost like, I don't want to say the word CrossFit because it's not CrossFit, but that type of like high intensity, high heart rate lifting essentially. And that this year I've really enjoyed because I'm at a point in my career where I'm not trying to like throw on a bunch of weight and get stronger. I'm trying to maintain and stay healthy. So it's definitely the training programs have evolved throughout the years for me for sure. But that's like 4 days a week I'm doing that type of lifting. And then 2 days are like my lift. It's not really a lift. My workout is basically stretching and movement and trying to keep the body fresh and like recovery type stuff.
JT, I'm really glad to hear that knee is feeling good and you're doing those sprints because I'll tell you, we sit up top, we sit up high. I've always loved watching you go first to third. I've never seen you run like a guy who was a speed demon, like a guy who, like a Willie McGee or somebody like that in the day. And Juan Samuel, those guys were electric base runners. But the way you go first to third, do you take a lot of pride in your base running? And where did that where did that come from? Where did that start?
I do. I'll tell you what, I didn't like. I don't know if people know how much it killed me last year to not be able to do stuff like that. Like that's one of my favorite parts of the game of baseball is running the bases. Like I love putting pressure on defense and doing the little things the right way to like help you win a game that not a lot of people are going to recognize or notice, but they change baseball games. And for me, base running is a way to like, hey, like you can put in that extra effort and make a huge difference and not have to be the fastest guy on the field. It's just about paying attention and the want to be a good base runner. So that started for me, honestly, probably when I was in high school. Like our coaches were very, very serious about base running. And then also when I got to the Marlins after I got drafted, working with Juan Pierre, he was like, I could always remember having conversations with him about how important base running was. And every single day in spring training, every day during the season, we talked about base running and, hey, we could have been more aggressive here. We could have made adjustments here. So I think just working with him and that just kind of carried on throughout. And I also got to see like how much that changes the game. So I feel like for me, that's such an important part of the game that not enough people pay attention to.
Juan Pierre is a great baseball man. We had him here for a while.
Yeah, we had him. Yep.
I'd love to talk baseball with that guy. He's so prepared, so smart.
He's an incredible person. I mean, he was a veteran on the Marlins team when I came up there, and like he was awesome for us.
Yeah, great dude. Well, JT, thanks so much for the time, man. We really appreciate it. Again, like you said, before things start really gearing up, so should be a fun year. I think Phillies fans are excited about the upcoming season, and the rotation. You're gonna have fun catching that rotation, I think.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think the people really, the fans really appreciate the way you go about your business. I know the people in the booth do. I know the people that cover you as well. And I know it's kind of a pain in the neck sometimes having to deal with us on this side of the coin, but we really appreciate you spending the time and taking the time to talk to us. We're looking forward to the season.
Of course, you guys are great. You guys always treat me with respect, so I appreciate that.
Thank you to JT again for the time. That was a lot of fun. We'll be back next week. Ruben, Jim, and I are going to put together a little Clearwater travel guide for everybody that's coming down to Clearwater. So if you have any questions about your trip to Clearwater, whether you come every year or whether this is the first time you're coming to Clearwater. Drop us a note on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching us right now, put it in the comments section. Instagram, shoot us a note. We'd love to answer your questions about Clearwater. And if you like the show, subscribe, tell a friend. And if you really like the show, don't forget to pick up a Phillies Show t-shirt available at thephilliesshow.com. They're by 47 brand. They are awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. The Phillies Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Phillies Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.